hard for me because I have a pretty high metabolism. I'm small, so I think that would be harder on my body for sure.
So, one reason the rabbis give for fasting in the Torah, I mean, it's completely different than what's done nowadays. I haven't researched it, but I really want to research this whole notion that you're supposed to pig out before the fast, right? It's been considered almost a mitzvah. I know it's not a mitzvah, but I'm curious if it's even a halacha. Well, I'm okay. I know it's not a halacha, but I'm curious if it appears anywhere because it could not, like, it doesn't have to be like a mitzvah, a halacha, but it could be like just a medrash. The practice nowadays, they're taught that you have to have like a huge suda, like you're sitting down with bread and blessings before the meal. You have to. So they encourage you to prepare yourself to have an easy fast. But if the idea of tormenting yourself is not to have an easy fast, who you're fooling. God already knows. Yeah.
No, I say right. I agree with you. Like, when everyone says, I hope that you have an easy fast, I'm like, I'm not going to say that to you.
Yeah, no, but that's a nomenclature. Som kal, when they say, like in Israel, say like som kal, like have an easy fast. It's like, wait. Why are you saying that out loud? God's listening, But did I get my kittel back from the dry cleaners? The kittel is like this, for those who don't know, like this white robe that people wear during Rosh Hashanah, sometimes Yom Kippur as well, sometimes Pesach. I guess to make God feel like, look, I'm white, not black. I don't know if that's going to get some black Hebrew Israelites upset. Even the parochet. Like the parochet is like the curtain like in front of the Aron, like the ark in the synagogue. They would change it to a white one, and everyone would wear white kippas. It's like, who you fooling? The example of fasting in the Talmud lays down that every time Israel went to war, they deliberately would fast the day before, and they wouldn't even eat during the battle to show that it's God winning the war on their behalf. Like not by might, not by
their own strength, yeah.
But by the Lord Almighty. I don't know why people don't ask that question, because it's true. You don't have to tell me to eat, right? Like, yes, I pigged out before the fast, and then I sort of just like rode in the wave, right? It's not a fast anymore. It's kind of like, it's equivalent to selling your chametz on Pesach.
Yes, I agree.
So I agree. I did research the whole notion of selling your chametz on Pesach, and it is baseless. Baseless. The only example that appears in the Mishnah is that if you're going to take a boat trip, and it literally gives this example, there's an allowance if you're going to take a boat trip that typically took a month to 2 months, and during that time, Pesach would arise. Clearly, you could not destroy your chametz during Pesach because you wouldn't have any food to eat for the rest of your journey. So in that case, it says, sell your chametz to someone on the boat. So then in order to save your life, you have something to eat after Passover. Nowadays, they tell you that you have to, even if you eliminate all your chametz, they tell you that you have to sell it anyways. Right? I don't know if they do that to get an extra donation, whatever, but people don't ask questions. Judaism has to be, it's a lie. It's a lie when people say that Judaism is the religion that you're allowed to question in. It is a lie. Of course you could question. Once they give you the answer, if you disagree with that answer, they'll kick you out of the yeshiva. 100%. Like almost how the communists had these mock trials, right? I mean, the person was already guilty before they brought him up. Judaism has mock arguing. Like, yeah, you're allowed to argue like in the base medrash to a certain extent. Right? Certain extent, give a little pushback, but everybody knows the halakha is not going to change. Okay? So this is how you know that you're talking to either like a messianic or a convert who's never been to yeshiva, or someone who's not religious, who's Jewish, who doesn't know much about the yeshiva world. They're like, what are you talking about? We're people who question. Yeah, like maybe if you're like writing the guidelines for queer theory or something, but not in the religious world. If you speak out in the religious world, you get thrown under the bus. Okay? Now, assuming that you may be able to fit in somewhere, maybe in America. All right, I mean, there's maybe some sort of Karbach shul that accepts giving women aliyahs. That's another example, right? I mean, trust me, I'm extremely on the right. I'm for making places of worship a little more masculine just because we need a little more fixing than women do, in my opinion. Fine, it's not a spiritual conclusion. But the idea of giving a woman an aliyah, right? That's pretty, coveted tzibor, in terms of it being prohibited, it's not prohibited. If we're allowed to question, why aren't there Orthodox synagogues that give women aliyahs, right? I mean, why aren't there Orthodox synagogues that don't have a mechitza? There is one, by the way, like in Denver, there's a shul called BMH that has a minyan with a mechitza, which is why they could still remain under the OU. But the main shul, Orthodox shul, doesn't have a mechitza. Why? Because the halacha doesn't mention a mechitza. If you're allowed to question, why aren't there women wearing tefillin? I don't know, right? I mean, Rashi's daughters, I don't know if it's true, but the idea is that Rashi's daughters were tefillin. Do I believe it? I don't know. I understand the whole notion, mitzvot as they chazman grama, that they're not bound by positive commandments that are time bound. Why? Because you can't really question so much. Now, I do question. This is why people question me. So yes, conclusion, I don't think we're supposed to have an easy fast. Right? We're just supposed to, I'm not saying it's supposed to be hard, and I'm not saying that I'm going to make it harder for myself. I'm going to carry in that Eruv, even though I can't justify the Eruv halachically. I'll be like, when am I going to tell my daughter? Right? I mean, like she can't carry a sefer to her friend's house. I'm going to ride the wave, but I'm going to question. I'm going to be like, how did we come to this location? I think most Eruvim, and like in terms of even Chabad is better, like is correct in this area, are not kosher. Not to brag, but I had an easy fast. Yeah, no, God willing, they should be easy, But I don't know, like we should parade it. Like, are you sure you're going to eat? Right? I mean, shuls will have a big meal before the fast. Break the fast, I get it, right? Sort of. I don't know. I guess I have to think about that. Okay. When they put the sin on the chicken and the loaf of bread, I never heard of them putting it on a loaf of bread. Maybe a thing, I never heard of it. The chicken, shlugging kaparas. Yes, that's another silly custom. I don't see many rabbis speaking out against it. And that's how you measure the integrity of your teacher. If he's able to criticize, at least slightly criticize the movement that he belongs to. If your teacher, let's say, is a Chabad rabbi, and he never says anything critical against Chabad. There's different factions within Chabad. If you're Meshachist, or like if you believe that Chaim Dietz is like the last Rebbe, they're going to be disagreeing on themselves. But Chabad Stam, like just in general, if someone has to pay lip service to the group they happen to belong to just because they happen to be born in that group, means like, what else are they lying to you about? I belong more to like Maimonidean, like a more like a Temani way of understanding Judaism. And I have many differences with Temanim, or with people who are big on the Rambam, like Rav Kapach. I have differences with the Rambam that I will try to articulate. But only because I like the Rambam, it means I can't disagree with it. A little update on this video you may be watching. So I did research it in terms of where's the source of picking up before a fast. It's not in the Mishnah. That's all I have to tell you. The Rambam brings it down. He even calls it a mitzvah. It's clearly not a mitzvah. The Rambam doesn't always follow the rules. I think he calls it a mitzvah because in the Gemara it may call it a mitzvah. It's brought down by Amarayim. Again, it's not mentioned in the Mishnah. I think it's a bit irresponsible to call something a mitzvah, not even a halacha, when it's for sure not a mitzvah. I guess this is like one example where the rabbis use the word mitzvah as just a nice thing to do. But anyways, long story short, it's not in the Mishnah, thus it's not an actual halacha. That's the update.